kind of tying it back to what we talked about at the beginning, Chicago at a macroeconomic level, diving into like, let's call it neighborhoods or suburbs, besides the downtown that we just talked about and like the larger multifamily, let's just take like an 8-unit. Do you feel an 8-unit that might be in a C to D neighborhood versus one that's in an A to B neighborhood versus one that's in the suburbs? I guess, who do you think is going to be hit the hardest, and who do you think is best fit to weather any sort of storm that comes from the, I'll call it, this pension bubble?
Yeah. Well, before I talk about the pensions, let me also comment a little bit on maybe you and or your followers pay attention to the Case-Shiller data on home prices. And so normally we talk about, Chicago performed like this relative to, I don't know, some other Midwestern city as one example, or maybe New York, or however you want to think about it. I think what's less talked about is that within the Case-Shiller data, you can look at a given metropolitan area, let's say Chicago, and they Case-Shiller provide 3 tiers or buckets of home price appreciation. The highest tier meaning the highest priced homes, middle and lowest. And when you look at the data by tier, by these 3 buckets, what you see is that the lowest tier has the most volatility, right? In other words, it fell the hardest after the financial crisis. It has enjoyed, since the financial crisis, now I'm talking about Chicago, it has enjoyed the highest or largest run up. And of those 3 buckets, it's the only one, the lowest tier, where the average home price within that tier is at or above the pre-financial crisis peak. Now, that's either a good thing in some people's mind, or that's a red flag in other people's mind, right? So while high-priced homes are showing less volatility in their peak and trough, right, the depth of the trough and the height of the peak for the lowest tiered homes is greater. That amplitude is greater. I think that suggests to me that I would be a little bit careful about those C and D neighborhoods that you described before. And if in those C and D neighborhoods, there are heavily levered investors who get wiped out in the next inevitable cycle, that's another risk, alluding to something I said before, that I think people should consider.